Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today I am here to bring you a little something different. I'm going to give you the top 10 best horror TV shows of all time. So pop that tape in, I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so we are talking horror and we are talking TV shows here today. Now, I love horror TV shows because if you guys follow me, you know that I love like the creepy, like eerie, atmospheric horror that kind of plays out slow and sets in over time and builds a story. And TV is a great format to do that. Like you can really build out tension and like a creepy atmosphere that you can always return back to again and again each week. And there has been some great, over the years, the decades, there has been some great horror TV shows. And I collect a lot of TV shows on physical media, so I have some of these. Now, some of these are ongoing still, so I don't necessarily have them or have all of them. And if I have all of them, I'm not going to hold up all of the seasons. But I do have some of them, and we're going to talk about them. And we're going to talk about a couple of my honorable mentions and then a little kind of bonus treat at the very end. So let's start with a couple of those honorable mentions here. And the first one is one that I think, if you guys saw my recent video on the creepy small town atmosphere horror movies, this TV show only ran for 2 seasons and it got cut short. And I think it had some of the biggest potential ever for a horror TV show in that sort of genre of horror. And it's a show called Wayward Pines. And it's worth checking out, even the couple seasons, even though it has a quasi ending that can be an ending. But man, it is a scary mystery folding on top of one another, and you're thrown right into it. Nothing's what it seems. It is a really good TV show, complete with monsters and all kinds of stuff that you would not expect that's out there. Wayward Pines, if you can find it, the couple of seasons that exist, it's a shame it got canceled before it could play out all the way, because the couple of seasons that exist are really good. I should probably also clarify on here that even though a couple of TV shows, like let's say X-Files, how that drifts into very horror heavy themes, I still consider that a sci-fi show first. So it's not on this list. Now, little spoiler alert, it might be on a list when I do top 10 sci-fi TV shows of all time. But I feel like it is still sci-fi first, even though it definitely has some episodes that are horror. And you could argue that it could be here because it's kind of sci-fi to sci-fi horror. But this is more strictly horror, or at least predominantly horror. So, continuing with a couple more quick TV series that are still ongoing that are on my honorable mentions list. One is on Paramount Plus, and I'm sure it will have a physical release soon, as Paramount Plus is sure to close up here pretty soon. But the show is called Evil, and it stars as a priest in training, and then a priest, the actor, and I totally just blanked on his name, but he played Luke Cage in the Marvel series, and he's phenomenal in the show, and I just totally blanked on his name. But he's a priest, and he works with, it's almost like a Mulder Scully type situation, because he works with this psychologist or whatever, and she's there to kind of find rational explanations for demon possession and these different supernatural things that they're investigating for the Catholic Church, except for obviously the stuff is really real. And it's super creepy and has some super scary moments to it. It's got a final season coming up, and it's definitely worth a look if you're still holding on to Paramount Plus. To be honest with you, I have kept Paramount Plus for no other reason than to finish the final season of that. and then it's gone. And pretty soon, Paramount Plus, if you've seen my videos, there's a good chance it's going to be gone here pretty soon in general. But that is a really good show. Evil, check it out. Another one on MGM Plus, and if you have I think if you have Shudder or the AMC Plus, it may come with that, because that's how I stumbled on it, was when I had that, unless I have something else that I don't know of on my Prime. But it's a show that's going into, I believe, coming up on its third or fourth season, and it is called From. And man, it has that small town atmosphere vibe, horror vibe too, and otherworldly thing. These people are in this world. They take a wrong turn. They all get to this place, this small town, by taking this wrong turn, and they end in this town that they can't get out of. No matter how far they go one way or the other, they can't get out of this town. There are monsters that come out at night that will eat you if you go outside. You have to stay inside, and they found these talisman that protect their houses and everything from these monsters that are somewhere between vampires and zombies and something else. And there's some kind of overall supreme force driving this, and these people are connected. Is this purgatory? Is it hell? We have no idea. It's a hell of a scary mystery going on. From, definitely worth your time to check it out. All right, now it's time for my official top 10 list, and we'll go through these pretty quick. First one up is one that is also ongoing, and no, this isn't one of the seasons, because I'm waiting to buy the seasons as a whole when they come out on physical media, but just as a frame of reference, it is Crypt Show. So yes, we have the Crypt Show series on Shudder. They do sell them on physical media. Like I said, I'm waiting to just get them all together. It continues the storytelling that is from Tales from the Crypt and Tales from the Dark Side and things like that. It continues that storytelling, and you've got that anthology. You've got tons of recognizable faces that do episodes. It's Crypt Show, and it's a modern Crypt Show. I absolutely love it. It has to be in my top 10 horror because I love Crypt Show, and it's carrying on that tradition. So Crypt Show, ongoing, still has some work to do, but right now it's at number 10. All right, well, I mentioned it, so might as well go to it. At number 9 is Tales from the Dark Side. Now, this is also very similar. You have sort of an anthology, short horror stories going on. It spawned movies, Tales from the Dark Side. These are things I grew up with. This ran from 83 to 88, 89, I believe. So you had maybe 6, 7 seasons there of Tales from the Dark Side. And then, of course, the movies and everything. Tales from the Dark Side, it's another horror anthology series, as I mentioned, where, you're taken through different ghost stories. There's some science fiction as well in Tales from the Dark Side, as there is in Crypt Show and things like that. But, it's just another one of those that's a classic horror story that has spawned and influenced so much other horror. So Tales from the Dark Side, definitely in my top 10, comes in here at number 9. At number 8 on the list is one that is spawned by Guillermo del Toro, and it ran from 2014 to 17, so it was 3 or 4 seasons, and pretty intense and different take on vampire horror is The Strain. So it's set in basically in the present, and a viral outbreak happens, which is basically an old strain of how people were turned into vampires. So it basically turns everyone into vampires, and these are evil, mouth opening up, crazy stuff vampires. But it has some mystery and things like that are ongoing that they're trying to uncover, and I just dig that. And it's, of course, it's a survival horror element. Very different take on vampires. Very interesting. Of course, done with Guillermo del Toro's flair. So The Strain, for me, comes in at number 8. I really enjoyed it. Very different. Check it out. Number 7 on my list is one that I'm also waiting to get because I'm deciding if I'm going to get that big set of the Evil Dead series that includes Ash versus the Evil Dead, which comes in at number 7 on my list. Hail to the king, baby. It is Bruce Campbell. It is the Evil Dead world. It is him being Ash again, although I think they disavow like Army of Darkness in there. And it is it's fun. It's Ash. It is Bruce Campbell. It's the Evil Dead world. You get, what was it, 3 or 4 seasons, ran 2015 through 2018. And it's on physical media. It's part of a big set. It is definitely worth checking out. I just got to decide if I want to get that set on its own, get that whole big set, how I'm going to piece and complete my Evil Dead series. But Ash vs. Evil Dead, I absolutely love Bruce Campbell. I love him as the character of Ash. It is a fun series. You get to spend a lot of time in the Evil Dead world. So coming in at number 7, Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Okay, coming in at number 6, and then I promise y'all I'm going to have some of these in my hands. Coming in at number 6, I think is maybe the king for me of the anthology horror, and I am talking Tales from the Crypt. The Crypt Keeper, I can hear him as a kid. Like, man, when we finally got HBO and they had the Crypt Keeper on there, and he popped up out of there and he's like, ee with his little voice and everything. And he was much scarier to me as a kid because I think it ran from 89 to 1996. So I was, around probably 10 years old when I first saw it. And but then I was, 16, 17 by the time it ended. So very different places. But I loved it the whole way through. And I still love Tales from the Crypt to this day. Of course, it spawned movies. You got Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood, etc. like that. Crypt Keeper himself is an absolute icon. So, yes, I love Tales from the Crypt. It comes in at number 6 for me. Even though it comes after, like, Tales from the Dark Side, it is still, to me, it's still my favorite amongst those shows like that. So Tales from the Crypt comes in at number 6, which brings us to the top 5 plus my surprise at the end. Number 5 for me, and yes, they used to put some of this on physical media. Number 5 is Stranger Things, and this is actually the Blu-ray DVD set from Target from years ago that I first caught on Black Friday, and I wish they would do something like this again because this was awesome. Had that poster with it and everything else. And being the big 80s nerd, and it is just so full of 80s nostalgia, you have that small town horror that I love, the atmosphere, the sprawling horror mystery that you're trying to unfold. All of that is there. Come on, Netflix, give us more of these shows on physical media. You're dying for money. We all know it. Stop giving money to politics and stuff and give us shows. Give us the things that we want. Give us Stranger Things and the other good shows on high quality 4K. This is begging for physical media. There is so much to Stranger Things that is culturally iconic now that people, it has brought back 80s stuff in even a bigger way. It's taking too long to finish for sure. They're stretching it out, but I got news for you guys. They're stretching it out for the same reason they're piecing out the final season of Cobra Kai into 3 pieces spread over a year. That's because they don't want people to cancel once these big shows are gone. So this is going to end not until 2025 now, even though it started in 2016, and it's going to have taken them that long to have like 5 or 6 seasons. That's absolutely ridiculous. But give it to us on physical media. It is a great show, great horror show, and it is in my top 5 horror shows of all time, Stranger Things. All right, number 4, and I'm probably going to start to get blowback on some of my top ones and some things that I'm missing. I don't care. These, I think, are iconic, and they are my favorites. And coming in at number 4 is Angel. A spinoff of Buffy the Vampire Slayer with David Boreanaz as Angel, basically playing a vampire version of Batman. They encounter every kind of horror monster, and there's ongoing mysteries that they're uncovering. He's literally a private detective. It checks all those boxes for me. He's got a big flowing, might as well be cape of a trench coat. He's literally a vampire Batman going up against horror creatures. What's not to love? I really enjoyed Angel. Much more serious tone overall than Buffy the Vampire Slayer, much darker. And I really did enjoy Angel. It was supposed to have an extra season. It was supposed to have a 6th season, and then they decided they were going to stop it at 5. So Joss Whedon had to cram 2 years worth of planned out storylines into 1 year because he was super good at planning out really long storylines where something that he planted in season 1 was going to matter for season 5 or 6. He did the same thing with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and if you don't know this, he's the one who basically planned out the whole first several phases of Marvel and planted and connected all of those movies and gave them the blueprint. Along the way, he's responsible for a lot of that, and he's just really good at connecting those things, and they've kind of missed that without him, whether you think he's a D-bag or not, or he's too harsh of a director or whatever. He can tell a story, and Angel is awesome. It comes in at number 4. All right. At number 3 is one that I think my friend Daniel at Cobwebs would really like. And if you have never seen this show, run, don't walk to go find it in one way or the other. And I've got to get it on physical media. I think it's available on physical media. I am talking about the Josh Hartnett, Ava Green, and Timothy Dalton starring in Penny Dreadful. It was a Showtime series. It ran for 3 seasons. And holy crap, y'all. The gothic horror, and we encounter all of the traditional horror icons, whether it is the werewolf / wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster. There's even like nods to things like Dorian Gray, the picture of Dorian Gray, like all these horror stories, Edgar Allan Poe thing, like all of this stuff finds its way in the show and is connected in a horror gothic universe set in like what is it, Victoria era England, or it's a little later than that because the Old West is happening here. Maybe that's at the same time. Chase, you're a history teacher, you should be able to remember that. But it is an absolutely fantastic show. Very adult, lots of gore, horror, mature themes, sex, nudity. It's tough, it's rough. It's one of my favorite things I've ever seen Josh Hartnett do. And wow, it is a good show. He is out freaking standing in this show. Like, the show is that good. Go get it. Not the second season they tried to do in Los Angeles or whatever the hell that was. No, the original series, it was like 3 seasons or 4 seasons long. Get it, check it out. Top 3 horror TV shows of all time for me. Penny Dreadful. All right. Number 2, we are going back to the Joss Whedon universe and a show that is made such a landmark, such a mark on television and icon since then. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. No matter how you feel about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Joss Whedon, or whatever else, this show like paved the road for the success of many genre shows after it. We stopped having like, after, like as X-Files was starting to wind down and it went more and more sci-fi, and David Duchovny left, we started having like less and less genre shows, and definitely nothing that was like pop culture relevant anymore. And Buffy comes along as a mid-season replacement in like January of 1997. And by season 2 is like a phenomenon and like builds a whole network. Really, it built the WB network, which eventually became the CW, was built a lot on the back of Buffy and then Dawson's Creek and Seventh Heaven after that. But Buffy paved the way. It also changed the way we look at like female heroes and all that kind of stuff. This show doesn't get enough credit. It also should probably get some blame for the dearth, like this, or the rise of musical shows, like where your favorite shows did musical episodes. Buffy did it first, but Buffy did it way better because it was built into the ongoing storylines of the previous 5 seasons and that current 6th season. It wasn't just like, oh, they wake up and we're just going to do a singing episode. It actually connected the past story with the future story of the show. And most of the people outside of Sarah Michelle Gellar on the show could sing really well. It was a damn good show, groundbreaking, one of my favorites of all time, no question. I had to fight with myself between 1 and 2, but in the end, 1 was clear and it's hard to argue. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of my favorite shows, period, of all time, as most of these are. But Buffy, right there at number 2. I can't tell you how much I loved that show. Watched it with my dad. We talked about it. I would call him and talk about it. The show was amazing. Loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Still watch it. Still do a rewatch every now and then. Same thing with most of these shows. All right, number 1, and then a bonus. A bonus. But number 1 for me, the show, the ultimate horror show in every single way, and broke every record for longevity, amount of episodes, broke every rule there was, told every horror story, every monster story, everything you can tell in one way or the other. Greatest horror show of all time, Supernatural. There is no doubt about it. It ran from 2005 till mid 2000, actually, excuse me, till the end of 2020. Like the final episode was in December of 2020. This show ran for almost 16 calendar years because it is damn awesome. That's why you've got 2 brothers saving people, hunting things, the family business. You've got classic hot rods, classic rock and roll, classic monsters, horror stories, fighting, action. You've got attractive women that pop in and out with them. You've got every kind of monster conceived of. You've got heaven, you've got hell, you've got purgatory, you've got the devil, you've got God, you've got angels, you've got demons, you've got Dracula, you've got every kind of monster in history is in this show. They fight, and still, I believe there's more stories to tell, and so do they. They're still fighting like hell to bring this show back. But I don't know how you would, I don't know what show or how you would legitimize putting any show above it because of the longevity, the amount of like horror icons, everything that they pull in. To me, Supernatural is the number 1 horror show of our common era of all time. It brings everything in. Sam and Dean. The Impala is one of my dream cars that they have. I've got some TV and movie cars that I love. I don't know what more you could want out of a horror movie or horror TV show. And they didn't spare the violence or the blood or the scares. I mean, the show is dark. It is dark. And it is my number 1 of all time. Supernatural. Everything is reflecting. I want to buy the big whole set on Blu-ray. I have some on DVD, some on Blu-ray. So I want to get the whole set. But I promised you a bonus. And while Supernatural is my number 1 and Buffy is like my 1A number 2, and there are some great shows that I mentioned in here, and Supernatural is like, and Buffy are like tied to me. They're like in my heart. There is one show that is one of my favorites all time that's hard to classify. It falls in with that problem of that I mentioned with X-Files. But this show has been the basis for so many horror movies and sci-fi, but so many horror movies. Jordan Peele has admitted to basically plundering this show for a lot of his ideas for his movies that he gets credit for being original for. Not that I dislike Jordan Peele, but his ideas come largely from the granddaddy of them all, Rod Serling, and The Twilight Zone. I really like, this has to be above the list because in so many ways it gave birth to so much, whether it's horror or sci-fi. I mean, look, the Hitcher story is in here. It's terrifying. Mirror Image is the story that Jordan Peele used as the basis for Us. Mirror Image is Us, and I forget, there's one that's Nope. Like he basically used this show as, and then he went on to try to make like a new retelling of The Twilight Zone. But this show has been pulled so much, and there are so many iconic people that have been in this show. And there are episodes of this show that are so damn sneaky scary. There's an episode with William Shatner called Nick of Time, where he has this little, they're in this diner waiting on their car to get fixed, and there's this little fortune teller thing on the table that costs a penny, and it'll tell your fortune. And it has a little devil head on it. And like they become obsessed with it and then terrified by it. And then the things that it's saying kind of start to happen. And I mean, it's scary because they just escape the pull and the magic of this thing. And then as he and his wife escape it, there's this other couple that come running back to it because they're terrified, and they're terrified to leave it because of everything that's said that would happen. And when you really watch the show and then think about it later, it's terrifying. There are a lot of shows. There's a show where these guys go into space and they think they're on this other planet and whatever else, and none of the people are moving, but it looks like this perfect place. And the one guy they find there that's talking kills them and stuffs them because it is a planet or an asteroid where rich people have like built this idyllic world to be buried in. And you're not supposed to go there if you're alive. And he's basically like a droid. And if the people are there alive, so he poisons these guys, stuffs them, makes them look happy. It is terrifying. It is terrifying. So there are a lot of horror elements to this, and it gave birth to a lot of horror movies and a lot of sci-fi. So overall, I feel like this is the granddaddy of them all. So Twilight Zone has to be mentioned on this list. I think it has to be mentioned as the granddaddy on the sci-fi list. It is there. Rod Serling, epic genius, passed away way too soon. But I have the complete series here on DVD. I would love this to be remastered, but I mean, it looks fine on DVD. Traveling through another dimension, not only of sight and sound, but of mind. And that's what we have done here with my favorite horror TV shows of all time. I know that people are going to be like, wait a minute, he doesn't have The Walking Dead in there. I don't dig The Walking Dead. It's okay. It's gone on way too long. Should have been a couple of seasons, in my opinion. It's just more zombies. Zombies are overdone to me. I've just never been able to get into The Walking Dead. And I feel like it's horror. It is like now horror for people that don't like horror. But I mean, it's okay if you disagree with that. It's just not in my top 10 all time. And it's not even in my top 15 if you count honorable mentions. But it is a horror show. And I'm sure there are others, but this is my list. So you guys let me know in the comments. What do you think? What do you think of my list? Am I crazy? Do you like my list? What should I have put in? What should I have left out? Let me know your list, and if there's anything I missed that you think should be in here, or should I have changed these rankings? I don't know. You let me know. These are my list. This is how they feel in my heart and how they have stood the test of time and what they've meant to the genre and to pop culture at large. So this is my list. for my top 10 horror shows of all time. And if you have enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. You can join the channel below or on my Patreon. Both links are below. For a couple of dollars a month, you can see your name on here, get behind the scenes stuff, free swag, access to extra videos and live streams, all kinds of stuff, with more stuff added all the time as I can get my hands on it and put in. Of course, the free giveaways and things like that. And but you don't have to do any of that to hang around. Just like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And you know what? Until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.